introduction here, you have the audit in front of you here in this packet here, which you were sent in advance to take a look at. And I'm sure she's gonna tell us everything is great, which was.
Unmute.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Melissa, hi. Good to see you again. Can you see? This is the board. This is
Melissa.
Tim
I can see.
Steele.
Hey, everyone.
This is
Thank
Tim
you.
Steele who's waving. He is our new chairman, and Dennis Getter, our treasurer.
Hi.
And then our new members, we have Laura, and then Susan Piney, and Nancy, and Carol, and Terry Plum. I don't know if you could hear me or not, but they're all here, ready for your report. Thank you.
Awesome, nice to meet you guys. So this will be short and sweet, and then we can go over any questions we all have. I'm Melissa Monaghan, the senior manager on the engagement. This is, I think, the third year, maybe fourth. So we've been doing it a while, and this audit, it went smooth and great, just like all of the previous years. We're sad to see Lee go, but I think that you all have it under control, and next year will be just as great. So I have a quick little presentation to just talk through what we need to go over. If I share my screen, will you see anything, or should I just talk through it?
I think we should be able to see it. You can try it, and if not, yeah.
Yeah. Try
Okay,
showing
yeah,
it.
it's not too important, like if you see anything, but let's see. Okay,
Great.
so, first, just the objective and the opinion. You know, our objective for the audit is to issue an opinion, and we issued an unmodified opinion for your financial statements for the year ended June 30th. That's the highest level of assurance, and an unmodified opinion is the best case scenario, the best opinion you could receive. So the next two slides are just some required communications that we talk through. So I'm gonna explain the audit planning process. Similar to each year, we chat with you, we chat with Lee, we get an understanding of what's gone on throughout the year. We read the board minutes and all of that, and kind of get a game plan of what we need to focus on, any changes from previous years, and kind of plan for the audit. Part of that includes internal control review. So we don't test internal controls, and we don't opine on internal controls, but we do review your level of controls. Who does what, segregation of duties, how do you approve and review things, all of that. And that kind of just helps us plan for what we're gonna look at, any risks identified, etc. So that's a standard part of planning an audit. Materiality is an important part. We certainly don't test or look at every transaction, everything that went on. We set a materiality threshold and kind of test things that exceed that or are material. And then our responsibility, of course, we have to be independent and, you know, follow GAAP and government standards when we're doing the audit. Something else that we consider is significant accounting policies. So note 1 of your financial statements, probably the most lengthy note, details all of your accounting policies, how you record things, new accounting standards you follow. So we just review that, make sure that you're applying any new accounting policies, that all of your policies are in accordance with GAAP and make sense, which we think they do. In that line, management judgments and estimates. So if you have any significant estimates, things that you determine, we just evaluate that, make sure it's reasonable and makes sense and in accordance with GAAP. Financial statement disclosures. You know, we do prepare the financial statements. Of course, y'all take responsibility for them, but we ensure that you're not missing any disclosures. All of your disclosures are accurate and reasonable. As far as uncorrected misstatements or corrected misstatements, we didn't have either. So there were no issues or errors that we fixed and posted an entry for, and there was no errors that we thought could go uncorrected because they were immaterial. So we didn't find any errors or anything that needed an adjustment. Management representations, I just mentioned that, you know, of course, at the end of the audit, y'all sign the rep letter and attest that, you know, these are your financial statements, you understand everything that's in them and, you know, what you're providing. We happily didn't have any disagreements with management. We love working with y'all and really enjoy it. There were no significant issues that we discussed. This year's audit was similar to last year. There was nothing unusual or new this year that we needed to worry about. So those were kind of like the key points that we needed to go over, required communications with you. The next slide or two are just brief blurbs from the financial statements themselves. I know this information is pretty old at this point, but just quickly to go over it, in 2024, your general fund balance was approximately 4.5 million. That was an increase of approximately 440,000 from prior year. So increasing your fund balance, adding to that is always a good sign. Approximately 4.2% or 2 million of your fund balance is unassigned and available for spending. So majority of it is, which is great. You can use it for anything. It's not restricted. It's not committed for anything. And that was about 47% of your actual expenditures. And then next, revenues of approximately 9.4 million exceeded expenditures of 8.9. And it was mainly you received more funding from York County. And then the kind of the back of the audit report and the last part of the audit is your compliance reporting. So you have to, you know, report under government auditing standards. If there was any specific government compliance rules that you had to follow, this is just the generic opinion that is required. You don't have any specific compliance, like for instance, York County has federal funding and they have a civil audit, and that's like a whole another section of the audit. So this is just, I guess, a blanket statement that there's no compliance findings, there was no other unusual things, there was no issues with any compliance with laws and regulations that you would need to comply with. So that really sums it up. An unmodified opinion, as I mentioned, I think, you know, your sound financial condition, you're adding to your fund balance, you had a pretty strong year, and it was a great audit. So other than that, I didn't have anything to share. I don't know if there was any questions or anything specifically from the audit report, or just generally anything going on that you wanted to go over or talk about.
Does anyone have any questions? Anybody?
I'll just acknowledge that unfortunately the person who's responsible for this isn't here, Lee, and now we're replaced by Pam, so she's understands now the shoes she's gotta fill, and we have very, very exemplary accounting, and obviously we plan to keep it that way, Mr. Chair.
Excellent.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I also want to thank Bobby Coran, who filled in. There was a lot of last minute thing requests, and she stepped in while we had moved on to take care of that. I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you, Bobby.
Well, thanks, Bobby.
Here, here.
Okay, I think we're good. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you. Hope you all have a good night.
Until next
you.
year.
Thank you.
Chair, Mr. Chairman, if I may put in a unintended plug of the new business which was approved. The Friends of the Library will have their annual meeting on Sunday, January 26th at 2 p.m. at the Rock Hill Library. The keynote speaker is the author of this book. Her name is Susan Millar Williams. It's a really, really good biography of a woman named Julia Peterkin. Julia Peterkin was awarded the only Pulitzer Prize by a South Carolinian in fiction ever. And this book was considered, her book was the first book, one of her books was called Scarlet Sister Mary, which actually won the award. She was recognized because she was the first author, white or black, who wrote about Southern blacks as real people. She was championed by the Harlem Renaissance. She's considered a major influence of Zora Neale Hurston, who was one of the prominent African-American novelists. And Susan has written another book, she's working on a third about the Charleston earthquake. So it promises to be a really good presentation, 2 p.m., Sunday, January 26th.
Say that month, is it?
January.
Oh, this
Yes,
month.
coming up. And, Susan, what's the, where do they go to sign up? It's your
Actually,
website.
you can go through the library's calendar.
Okay.
The library has a calendar entry, and you can sign up there. You don't have to sign up, but we just wanna get a nice.
It's a Sunday.
It's a
2 p.m.
Sunday.
Free, open to the public, there will be refreshments. They just like to know ahead of time how many chairs are put out.
You didn't say
Promise to be a good day.
You didn't say Rock Hill.
Rock Hill,
And there will be a business meeting, but it will be very brief. Thank you.
Okay, any other new, items under new business?
I do have something that I would like to propose. So I have this in writing, let me pass this around, and I will present this as a motion. Does everybody have a copy?
Almost.
And I won't read this to you, word for word, but essentially Robert's rules ask that the minutes of the meeting for what was done, not what was said. And in our October 10th, I need to back up. I would like to make a motion. Contain the record of what was said when you go to the unfinished business and new business. So I'm not asking that those be stricken, but what I would like to do is to rewrite that in a narrative format to include as an addendum to the minutes for that. The purpose of meetings, again, is to record actions taken, to be informative, easy to understand, and I think to have that in a narrative format, and in addition to, again, the sort of transcript of what happened, would make it more consistent with Robert's rules as well as the other ones that we have for the work in the public record. And that, again, the current secretary would be responsible for rewriting. It would be presented to the board for approval before it would be entered as part of the official record.
All right, so you're wanting this as a motion, correct? Okay, so if you would read that as a motion, and if we get a second, then we will discuss it and then vote on it, I think is the correct way to go about it.
I would like to present my motion to rewrite just the sections for the October 10th, 2024 minutes under unfinished business and new business to be in the narrative format, beginning part of the minutes and the other minutes that we have for the library.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple points. I totally so restrictive, you can't use a narrative format. I've been on several boards, and it's never been a problem. That, you know, you can paraphrase what was said. The whole idea is to give information, not to get into, you know, all the back and forth, you don't need to do that. But the secretary has the discretion of telling the story. And that's what it's really all about. As long as you've got the essential information, that's fine, it's okay to elaborate a little bit. What I'm saying is the way I see this as unnecessary, but I do approve what you're trying to do, and it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, well, let me read it in its entirety, so therefore, we are following Robert's rules. Motion to amend October 10th, 2024 minutes, whereas Robert's rules, section 48, 1-16, states that the minutes of a meeting should contain a record of what was done at the meeting, not what was said by the members. The format for October 10th, 2024 minutes, sections unfinished business and new business, is not consistent even with the previous minutes for the York County Library Board. And whereas minutes are not transcripts of meetings but record actions taken by the body organized within the agenda, and whereas minutes need to inform and be easy to understand in the future, I propose a motion to compose the unfinished business and new business sections of the October 10, 2024 minutes in narrative format as an addendum to our official record. The current secretary will be responsible for this and will present it to the board for approval as part of the official record submitted by Carol Herring, January 16th, 2024. 25, yes.
One of us is living in Vegas.
There we go. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, so it's 6-1, that passes. Is there any more new business? Is everybody happy? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? I have to have a motion first.
So moved.
Oh.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second.
Okay.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate all your time.